Well, the Boston boys, we are back. You got the beard, Kiefer, and I here. And before we hit record, we started going on about the draft and having a little conversation about it. So I was like, ah, shit, we just got to hit record and get into it and just make this content. So what I wanted to do is, haven't done one in a while. We haven't done one since the draft, having to recap the draft. So I kind of wanted to do that. So let's start. I mean, we talked about Will Campbell. Everybody talked about Will Campbell. Arm length, this, that. Is he worth it at 4? How did you feel now that it's actually done? They drafted him at 4. Nothing, no trades, nothing else happened. How do you feel about the pick?
So I started watching tape because I heard some rumors that Vrabel threw on pads with this guy to see what and I heard it's true. It was on the Dude on Dude. Shout out Gronk and Jules, love you guys. They was on Dude on Dude. They were saying this dude put on pads with him to see what kind of grit he had and what kind of thing. And they call him a dog. And then you start watching his tape and the short arms. It's not that he needs the long arms. He knows how to use his hands really well.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing, looking at that, and then you hear, "I'm gonna die for my quarterback." That gives me that gives you some Matt Light, Macon vibes. I like
Yeah.
that through a tackle. Now, could that same thing happen with Makins when you go from left tackle and then come in the NFL, play left guard, and be a stud, for the whole career you play there and go to Tampa Bay? You could see that too. But I have more feel. Kaha guy, very like I just want to wear boots and I want to go hunting and all that stuff. And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Dad, Bass Pro's right down the street. I'm already in heaven now. This kid likes being here. He wants to be here. I like it."
Yeah. I like the attitude. He says all the right things. He's definitely somebody you want to go to war with. I love that, I'll die for my quarterback stuff. The arms still scare me. The wingspan still scares me. I mean, nobody's ever played in the NFL a tackle with a 77-inch wingspan, and that's what he has. Kelvin Banks, his wingspan was like 7 inches larger, like longer, wider, whatever you want to go with. So it's a concern, especially at 4. I mean, I also understand that 4, there weren't many people in this draft that were sure things. You had Hunter, you had Abdul Carter. After that, it was take a shot at the Tyler Warren.
You had Tyler Warren, you had Austin Gentry. God damn, I can't even say his name right now. There was a couple legitimate guys that you could have taken. There really was.
Mhm.
Hunter being the one that no matter what happened, you could have played him on either side of the field. And
Right.
that was the key for him. If you don't pan on a receiver, you're going to cornerback. If you don't pan on a quarterback, you're going to receiver. So
Yep.
I I thought the need for left tackle was a good draft pick. All right, we're going into this draft and yeah, we need some of these and some of these, but man, we got to protect our quarterback. So let's go right into the offensive lineman. Let's go get Campbell. That's what I liked about it was that they're
Yeah.
trying to find ways to help May. That's the key for me right there. The guy is good in pass blocking in college. He didn't play in a slouch school. He played at LSU and he played in the SEC, which is one of the top programs in all of college football when it comes to divisions. And a lot of those players end up in the NFL. So he wasn't playing against slouch teams for the last 3 years that he played.
No, I
You got to
still,
give
I
it, give
mean,
it. Take.
yeah, and they the stats are out there. I mean, only 2 sacks or whatever it was, but then I mean, there's also he allowed 18 hurries and he had 9 flags this year, which neither of those are great. Um, so there's a little bit more to it as well. Like people always just look at the sack total and they say nothing else. Well, pressures cause problems. So if he's allowing those, I mean, and he's going to have growing pains, even if he ends up being an all-pro, left tackle, he's going to have growing pains. He's going to have games where he struggles. That's just natural for any NFL player.
Well, yeah,
Um,
you're going up against the edge, and you got guys like uh, Watt and Bosa, and just the list goes on of how many guys that are going to be coming from that outside spot. That's going to give you problems.
yeah, but the funny thing is, and this is something I feel like is kind of under like discussed, is a lot of the stud edge players now are coming off the right side of the offensive line. Max Crosby plays over there. Miles Garrett dances around, but for the majority of the time, he's on the right side of that offensive line. Micah Parsons, like a lot of the people aren't coming from the blind side anymore, which is kind of crazy, but it has changed up a little bit.
Okay. Now you think about that too. You play Madden?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now that you say that, you know that the one receiver is now on the left side of your
Primarily.
quarterback every time primarily when you play Madden. If you get your number one wide receiver in Madden, he's playing on the left on
I never
any
noticed that.
play in any playbook you're playing in, and that's the great because I
Wow.
play a lot of Madden. So he's on your left. NCAA 25, same thing. He's on the left side. And I don't know if it's
Interesting.
I don't know if it's a glitch in the games or if that's really what they're using for the number one receiver now.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
But you said the same thing with defensive players. The guys that are your studs are on. You see their stars on the right side, not so much on the left.
Yeah, coming at the right tackle. It's kind of funny,
Yes.
which is
So
where
now
I
you.
hope
Yeah, go
with
ahead.
Morgan Moses getting older, he's played. I think he played 14 games last year, 14 games the year before, and he's a bit older. Like that's scary too, because if he goes down, God forbid something happens to him, who's sliding in at right tackle?
Well, I think that was what they got. They got three different interior O linemen all together. And what if Campbell doesn't pan out there, but he can move to right tackle? You
Yeah,
know,
that could be. Or you hope Marcus Bryant. I mean, Marcus Bryant's a big boy that they
yeah.
drafted. What did they get? What they get him in the 5th or 6th, whatever it was. Um,
And Wallace
yeah, he's
too.
another one. Yep.
From last year, you know he can't play left. He could play right.
Yep. That's a good
So
point.
got to think about you. Got to
All
think
right.
about they got to think about the positives, and that's what I'm thinking of. And that's we were saying that this morning. I'm looking at the positive side. I'm not saying they're gonna like. I love you, El Prez, Dave Portnoy. He goes 16-0 on his little press conference on Barstool. You got guys into the radio driving down to Mass today, and I'm getting down there, and they're talking about like I see 10, 11 games. I could see 10 or 11 games from how bad the schedule is, and
I Go ahead.
I don't see 11. I told you guys I saw 7-9. I
Yeah.
saw 7-9, and I'm only saying 7-9 because like it is like the G-men got fucked. You know, their schedule is
Yes.
awful. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we got gifted a easy schedule in terms of teams that we're playing.
100%. And that's what comes with a 4-13 season. But like you said, the Giants didn't get that. So it's kind of funny how the divisions work, how everything works out in the schedule. Because how many games are actually up for grabs? It's always, they're going to play the NFC North this year. Not that I'm just using that as an example. Like every year, you're going to play, and then there's a few games mixed in. And the Patriots not having an international game this year, so they get 9 home games this year is actually kind of great as well. But we're going to go over the schedule. I have the schedule pulled up. I was going to go on. We'll go over that in a few. I want to continue on with trivia on Henderson at 38.
Love that. I love that pick. I loved it when they drafted him. I don't care what anybody says. The pass blocking running back in college football last year.
Yeah.
He was the best in the draft. Best in the draft. That is, I am helping my quarterback at my third down running back coming in shotgun formation or any of that stuff. That's what's happening. You're giving poked by somebody. Did you see his highlights in blocking? Have you watched him?
Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
That kid is a dog when it comes to protecting his quarterback, and he reminds me of a poor man's Jabari Gibbs.
I see that. I guess if I'm going to play the devil's advocate in the situation, because this wouldn't be fun if we both just agreed on everything. This would fly by and we'd look like idiots. Could you potentially see an issue drafting him at 38 with other needs, where he's going to be a third down back? He showed at Ohio State that he couldn't be the primary. He was at his best when he had somebody else with him. Injury issues early on in college. Could that be a concern? Like, oh, well, we could have got another receiver there instead, or a situation like that.
So I don't use it as that, because I look at it as, what if this kid can come into the NFL like Gibbs? Because wasn't Gibbs a split back in college too?
Yeah.
I think he wasn't a primary running back. He was this year, though. It took 2 years.
Yeah.
But it took 2 years, but he exploded. Great offensive line, too. You can't deny that. They probably have top 3 offensive line in the NFL. But
yes,
yet this kid could potentially become the number 1 running back on our team. And I don't need him to go for 1,000 yards, but I'll take 600. I'll take 500 receiving yards and 800 rushing yards with 10 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
I would take that in a heartbeat. Yeah,
you know,
100%.
And have you looked up Henderson's fumbling?
Nothing. There's what, 1 or something, whatever it was.
1 in the beginning of his college career.
Yeah, yeah.
And he had a lot of touches, buddy. A lot of touches.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, we're going to be watching. We're Patriots fans when it comes to drafting, whether it's Sony Michel over Lamar Jackson, or obviously the N'Keal Harry over the AJ Brown, Debo, DK, all that other nonsense. We're going to be looking at like a Luther Burden. He won a pick after Travion Henderson. If Luther Burden turns out, a Mason Taylor, like there's players that we're going to be watching. Trey Harris, maybe a little bit, Jack Beck, like guys like that. We're going to be comparing them to Travion Henderson.
Well, you're also going to be, but you're going to be comparing later running backs to Travion Henderson. Cam Scatterbo went to 100%. The Giants. Cam Scatterbo went the 4th round or the 3rd or 4th round to the G-men. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that kid's a legitimate dog, like a legitimate, like he carried Arizona. Back, and if they didn't have him in that title game, they would have got smoked.
Yep, 100%. He's the person that I see when everybody talks about these Mike Vrabel type guys. He is that. Like, that's what I thought of. I'm like, they have to like him. I haven't heard a single thing that would point me in the direction to believe that they didn't like him.
Yeah, no, I think Vrabel was looking just more on the lines of going to throw the ball. It's not like what he had in Tennessee where it's all going to be a run game. It's not going to be a giant run game like we thought last year with Van Pelt. It's going to be a good mix of everything and all that. There's no more zone run scheme. I like McDaniels as an offense coordinator. I know you don't. I know Eli doesn't. Shout out to Eli. We miss you, buddy. But it's the pass blocking for me. He wants to protect that quarterback. That's his investment right there. I have to bank me on making sure Drake May turns into something in the next 2 years.
And I'm going to end up being you from last year, and I'm believing this is going to be a run-heavy offense. And I think one of the reasons is exactly what you said, to protect Drake May. And I think it's also Garrett Bradbury, if he's going to be the center, was a horrific pass blocking center last year. He was last in the NFL as a pass blocking center. But
so he was a good run. You think he's going to get the starter?
I do early on.
Okay,
but I think it'll get to the point where it's Jared Wilson, but I think early on it might be him. And like I said, they've already talked about having Jared Wilson with flexibility at center and guard, maybe playing that guard. He could end up being the left guard.
And what happened with didn't Strange play center last year too?
Yeah, he played in oh my god, the other, oh geez, of course I can't remember now. Yeah, there were a couple of people that played center, and that was late, and it didn't go well.
Okay.
From what I remember. Which what
So,
did with the offensive line?
no, nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I thought Wilson was going to go in to camp as a center and have a chance for the starting job. That's what I was thinking. That's why they drew
It
him.
could end up being that way. It could end up being that
I
way.
think
And I
that was
guess at
I.
camp, at, yeah, I think at rookie
Oh
camp
no.
he was lined up at center.
Okay, so then that's it right there. Let him play. Let him play all camp in preseason at center and see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I think too. All
Run
right,
heavy.
so I do, I really do. I think the receivers are gonna be a part of that as well. I think it's gonna
Okay.
be more towards like a Brady offense, but an early Brady offense. A
Okay, I
lot of
get what you're
screens,
saying.
a lot of dump offs, a lot of keeping them safe, keeping the turnovers low. I think you're just trying to control. I mean, look at what they did to the defense in free agency. I think it's going to be a ball control. I think it's going to be stuff like that, shorten the game. And I think that would be smart with a Drake May. I mean, I've been vocal on how I feel about Drake May. I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but getting the ball out of his hands, whether it's in the run game or it's quick passes, getting it out, not having to really make a lot of decisions, I think is the best way to control Drake May. And I think everything they've done has lined up for that. And on top of that, having a good defense, I think is part of all that as well. So that's why I kind of think it's going to be more run heavy than anything else. And especially where they had Ramondre Stevenson and they have Gibson, and then they decided to draft a running back in the second round. I think
Okay.
that's just lining up for a run. You know what I mean?
Well, let's not hope so because I don't need some more fumbling issues, but that could be arranged. So we'll
Yeah.
figure that out later. What do you think of the third round pick?
He's small, and apparently at rookie camp they had him on the outside. So that concerns me because he's not an X. He's not 6'4". He's not. If he had Tedero McMillan's body, he would have been top 5 pick, but he doesn't.
I need to stop you right now because you're talking about height and your favorite receiver is Steve Smith.
This is where I was just about to say but.
Okay.
And the but
Okay.
is Steve Smith said that he reminds him of him.
I
They're
heard.
both from Compton. It's like a 14-minute video on YouTube of Steve Smith talking about him. And it's
Okay.
with tape. They show routes. It's a really good. I love Steve. Steve Smith is my favorite receiver of all time. I didn't say he's the best. I said he's my favorite.
No,
And he's just
I
a
get it.
dog. Yeah, he's just a dog. And if Steve Smith, the only other person I've ever heard Steve Smith say, "This guy reminds me of me," it was Jamar Chase. So believe me, I'm not saying Kyle Williams is going to be Jamar Chase. That's not what I'm saying. I think he saw different things in those two people. I think he saw ability in Jamar Chase that Steve Smith had. I think with Kyle Williams, he sees the dog. He sees he's from my area. He's going to do whatever it takes.
I agree with the dog part, and I agree with his route running is a lot like
Yeah.
is a lot like Steve Smith. He's good off the break, and they would. I was listening to something at work on my headphones, and they were saying that in college he did move outside, inside, 3, 2, whatever they could use him on. He was a multi-tool
Yeah.
receiver. He didn't need to stay on the outside. He excelled in the slot, but could run deep routes and could do this. So I hear that stuff. I watch a little tape. I see it. I know we played what he played, Washington State or Washington. I think it was Washington State.
Washington.
And
Yeah.
I think you see something good from it. It's I like the pick it where they got him. You're right. You could have got Luther Burden in the second round. You could have, but I think they're looking at we need a guy that's going to be there for May on a consistent basis that has good hands because Polk didn't have anything for hands last year. I don't know what happened to him
Yeah.
because at Washington he had hands. I don't know what happened last year. I don't know if it was the offensive line not giving it him. giving a May enough time or whoever it was throwing the ball at that time. So, but I like the Williams pick. I thought it was a good pick.
I'm going to give you a comparison, and it might not excite you. And I haven't heard this one, and I don't know why it's coming to me now, but it is. With Kyle Williams and watching some of his tape, a little more athletic, more talented, Deion Branch.
Oh, I don't hate that at all.
That's kind of what I see.
Deion Branch was a dog too.
I love Deion Branch. That is not a knock on Deion Branch. If I'm telling you, I think he's more talented and more athletic than Deion Branch.
Yeah, Branch.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, like that's a compliment. I think that Branch was a great player for where he played and how he played the game. Edelman was talking about him on his podcast about it. He was like, Deion Branch, man, dude came in just to play football, and that's all he did. He was a good football player. Not saying he was a stud, but he had some dog in him. He had fight in him, and that's what you see with Williams. And I like that comparison, actually. I don't hate that comparison. He's a lot faster than Branch is.
100%. 100%. In both game speed and 40 time.
Yeah,
he looks faster.
Yeah. So I like
Deion
that.
had that route running. He had that tight route running. Deion Branch was the perfect player for this offense. For the Tom Brady offense, for the Josh it's the Tom Brady offense, but the Josh McDaniels offense that was amplified by Tom Brady. I'll put it that way.
No, I like it. I like that comparison. I haven't heard that one yet, but I like it.
All right, so we kind of touched on Jared Wilson already. I'll just say same thing. Huge fan of the pick, and they traded back and ended up getting him. I like it, whether it's for center, whether it's, like I said, a potential playing guard, left guard, because left guard is one of the scariest positions with that team right now, in my opinion. That and probably slot corner. Slot corner is kind of questionable right now as well. And edge still scares me too, but I guess we'll kind of gloss on that as well. Yeah, so I think it's a solid pick. You couldn't have done Jared Wilson at 95. I'll take that 100%.
I think that he might be the best value pick for where you got him in the draft at the end of the season.
Okay, well, not that we'll argue that, but I got another one in mind. But all right, let's go the opposite side of that. Let's go with the pick that everybody has said was a reach. Craig Woodson at 106 in the fourth.
That was the kid from Cal, right?
Yep.
Or whatever. I think he was a safety.
Yep.
I think he was. Okay, yeah. I watched a little bit of his tape after I saw it, 'cause I don't know Cal players.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers.
That's Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, right.
Guys, but from what you saw in his tape, he didn't look bad, and he looks like he might be better than Duggar. And I don't think awful season last year, but I don't hate it because it's a value position. It really is. You don't know how long you're gonna have Peppers for. You don't know if he's gonna get suspended again. You don't know if Duggar can take a workload all year and not get hurt at points and be able to control. Like him getting team captain last year was like, Jesus Christ, really throwing a captain at him? And I'm not saying he might be a good locker room.
Yeah,
what it is, so I don't hate it. I like the position pick. I just need to see more of him because I could say honestly, I didn't watch a lot of him in college football games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's the one that everybody says is a reach, and if people who do this for a living are saying it's a reach, I guess I have to kind of trust them because they do the scouting. The Duggar thing, like Doug has been, if you have Duggar playing free safety, he's out of position. To me, and I've always said this, and I know you've heard me say it, Duggar and Peppers are the same person, except for the fact that Peppers makes less. Like that's how I view the two of them. You don't have a free safety. You have two strong safeties, and one of them has to pretend that they play free safety, and they both suck in pass pro. So
Peppers
I can't. They're huge liabilities. They got to be up
Yeah. So I mean,
because they're banging.
and this kid, he has hands, right?
He has hands. I mean, the things that always scare me about kids like this is one, he's from Cal. Two, he played 6 years in college. So when somebody plays for 6 years in college, well, why couldn't you come out after year 3, 4, 5? Like you had to come out year 6. So he's an old draftee, and clearly, like you look at ceilings, whatever his ceiling is, he's hit it. Like he's already old in terms of football sense. So you have to question that. But then you have to throw in the fact that, like, okay, they drafted him, but they also grabbed Marcus Epps, who could play free safety as well. So you have a couple options there. I'm hoping they get rid of Doug or they find a way to get rid of him. I don't know if that's possible. Coming off the injury and coming off
I don't think it's
terrible season.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible, but free safety is a hard position because we grew up with legit free safeties in watching.
Just playing center field.
You had Ed Reed. Yeah, you know what I mean? Ed Chancellor. Cam Chancellor was a tall free safety that just hammered people. Yep. So
he and Earl Thomas back there, it was a problem.
It's crazy. So it's
100%.
Free safety is a big position for me. I don't think Doug is a free safety. I think you could use him at strong, but you got Peppers there, and it's just that. Oh, and Woodson was a good pick. Epps might be something good. So, I'm not too worried about it right now. You could be worried about it later.
Yeah, my simple answer to it is that was one of the first picks in the 4th round. They had all night going into that day to figure out who they were taking, and they were stuck on Craig Woodson. So they must have liked something about him. So whatever it is, like I said, fuck it. They do this for a living. I don't. We'll just have to trust them. I mean, I didn't never trust in Belichick, but that is what it is. Move on to Josh Farmer, Florida State D tackle. To me, this
I think they got him. I think they got him playing. Don't they have Farmer playing end?
They probably do. He could be dancing, but that's kind of my problem with it, is because you have so many different people. You have Keon White, who you don't know where he's going to play. Now you have Josh Farmer. You don't know where he's going to play. It's kind of just a weird situation. They can both either play tackle or end on the edge. So that's where it's kind of like, it's weird for me. But I mean, depth is depth.
So he's a big kid.
He's a man. There's no question.
He looks like a physical specimen. When I saw him when he got drafted, and you see him in the car saying Patriots, finally someone that wanted me, and he picks up his arms, and you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a big boy right there.
And he's pissed. He's pissed he fell, which I love.
Oh yeah. You need stuff like that. You need stuff like that, especially for a team that went 4-13 last year.
Yep. You want somebody with a chip on their shoulder.
No, I don't hate it. I like it. Like you said, they stacked on that defensive line in free agency, and then we already had, and you got to think, why did they do that? But they got to see something out of him that was underbilling and can use guys in multiple different places. So you got to think there's got to be some way that they're going to use them.
Yep, I 100% agree. And on to who I think is probably the best value, could end up being the best value, is Braden Swinson. I think him falling to the 5th, them getting him he was 146. I think that was a great selection. I don't know how he fell to them. Some people had him at in the 3rd round. Drops to the 5th as on the edge. I think he's going to be an edge. That's my favorite value pick.
Okay, I don't disagree with it, because you heard because if I heard the 3rd round thing too, there was a lot of people that fell in this draft though. It wasn't just Shador. It wasn't just like, wow, I can't believe he's still available going into the 5th and 6th round right now. So I don't
Yep.
hate that pick. I think if you look at the first 5 picks or 6 picks, it was all some type of need that they thought they needed. It wasn't like I'm just jumping out there and just grabbing whoever's there, which you saw a lot of last year's draft. They
Yep.
were just, oh, this is. They were looking for positional value.
Yeah. Nope. I agree. There was no Cole Strange. There was no Razai Dowling. There was no Cyrus Jones. There was none of that bullshit, which obviously didn't happen last year. I'm again shitting on Belichick, but there was none of that Cole Strange with other teams laughing at them for that pick. There was nothing like that. They were on script. They let the draft come to them. All the whatever funny cliche people say, they're all true. They controlled the draft. All the bullshit that people say. From that point, I had a kicker. I mean, Borregales, he was, everybody says he was the best kicker in the draft. People are concerned, kicking in Florida, he's not going to be able to do it up here. I mean, he's got a boot. People say, listening to him kick, like it just sounds different coming off his foot. Shit you used to hear about, like, Sammy Sosa in batting practice. If you got a boot, you can kick through the wind. Yeah, you can kick through the wind if you have a boot. That's how I see it. So I like the pick. You got the best kicker in the draft. Maybe that's going to work out for you.
They score a lot of
Marcus
points.
Bryant.
So.
Yeah, 100%. Marcus Bryant, I think he's a project. He could be a right tackle one day. Who knows? Julian Ashby, the long snapper, and then Kobe Minor with Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, if you have anything to add about any of those guys, go right ahead.
The long snapper let Cardona go.
Yeah. They went out and replaced him, which is funny to see a long snapper.
But it was a position of value for them. It was something they needed. So I again, they approached the draft the right way. And now if they hit on 4 or 5 players out of this draft, and they don't have to be all pros, I'm just saying, then you're looking forward to next year's draft and the year after, and just to see how the team builds from there. Yep. So to see what I saw, I appreciate what Vrabel and company are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see within the next 2 years. I mean, Will Campbell's going to be a starter no matter whether you like it or not. Trayon Henderson, I don't know if he's going to be a starter within the first 2 years, but I don't think so. But whatever. Kyle Williams could definitely be a starter. Jared Wilson could definitely be a starter. Craig Woodson could be a starter. I think Braden Swinson could be a starter too. So, I mean, you drafted if you get 4 starters out of a draft class,
that's an A+ right there.
One, you either drafted great, or 2, your team was just such shit that the draft picks were going to be starters no matter what. I guess you can look at it the other way. But no, I like the draft. All right. I know with our text, I kind of had a different tone this morning. I think after going over it, I'll say this. Considering the draft, I like the draft. This draft wasn't great. You had 2 people that were studs. You have Cam Ward as a question mark. I know he went 1. He is a question mark. Like, if we're going to call a spade, let's be honest. Travis Hunter, Abdul Qadir, I love. Mason Graham, not so sure. Tyler Warren, not so sure. Like, this was a rough class. So, considering that and just grading it on that, I think the Pats did a great job with what they picked, where they picked, the value of the picks. They didn't reach, other than Craig Woodson is universally thought of as a reach. But outside of that, I mean, they were dead on with every pick that they took within this draft. So I have to say that.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Just a note real quick before we get on to the next spot. Celtics definitely lost 81-114. It's like a minute left. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. It's all right. I had to mention it while we
Yeah,
were on. All right.
that
Good.
hurts.
Oh,
This is going
good.
to be an interesting offseason. Brad Stevens is going to have a lot of work to do because this they can't hold this. I said that. How long have I been saying that? Enjoy this season because next they're going to have to get rid of. They can't the second apron. They can't. They're not going to pay those taxes. They could,
The
but
only
who's going to want to?
the only people that I see them really keeping is White and Brown. You can't get rid of
Yeah,
Brown and not have Tatum on.
no.
So Brown stays, White stays, Holiday might leave. KP is definitely probably gone.
Yeah, I was thinking about it yesterday. I think Holiday should be gone, and I love Drew Holiday. That is not a negative on him.
Oh no,
KP should be
no.
gone. Yeah, KP should definitely be gone. Give me a team for next season that's Brown, White. Hopefully Al retires, but I want Hauser. I want Pritchett.
Even Cornet.
Yeah, yep. And I think Luke loves it here. I don't. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Past that, it's tough. It's tough.
Nope.
But I trust Brad.
I
I
trust.
trust
He's a
Brad
good
too.
he's a good GM, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. That's one that I definitely sit back. The Bruins, I don't feel that way. The Sox, I mean, we're going into the season, we felt that way.
Yeah, we'll get to them, and we can get to them too. We had the draft. We were talking draft. It was just disappointing to see them lose. Fuck the
Yeah.
Knicks. That's how I feel.
Yep.
Fuck the Knicks.
Yep. Fuck the Knicks. Fuck the Heat. Fuck the 76ers. They're all the same.
I hope the Knicks get smoked in the next series.
I do too. That'd be awesome. I don't hate the Pacers. I mean, I hate on Reggie Miller, but I don't hate the Pacers.
You might see a Pacers Minnesota finals this year.
That's what the NBA wants. Two great media markets, Minnesota and Indianapolis. Come on. That's what everybody wants in this world. No New York, no Boston, no LA. We want Minnesota and Indy. That's gonna make them excited.
God.
Tell me the NBA scripted if that's the finals. Try to tell me that.
And Mavericks just got the #1 pick after they lost Luka to get Cooper Flag. Oh my God. Don't get me started on that fucking bullshit. I saw that. I'm like, 1.8% chance you trade your star to LA. They gifted you Cooper Flag. They handed him to you.
100%. If Nico Harrison gets another death threat, like you now know this wasn't Nico Harrison's fault. He was forced into making this deal. Like now that they got the first pick, he should feel better. Because he was getting death threats. Yep, I feel the same way. All right. Now, what I wanted to do is this. Because I'm curious how this will go down. Let's go over the schedule. And what I want to do is have you give me your wins. So we'll start week 1. We won't go too far into it, but we'll start week 1. Raiders. Who do you think takes?
I'm gonna say Raiders. I'm gonna say Raiders take that game only because Gino came in last year and played super well, but the defense is completely revamped. So I'm gonna say that now that they drop money on that defense this year for us. So you don't know what you're gonna see right away. But right now I'll just say Seattle. First game, Seattle by 3. I mean not Seattle. The Raiders by 3. I'll say by 3.
I can understand the Seattle thing because they got Pete Carroll and Geno Smith there.
So yeah, no, that's why I'm thinking. That's instantly thinking about it. Like, oh, they got Pete Carroll and Geno.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that offense is going to be something. I love Jacoby Myers. I've always loved Jacoby Myers.
Good play.
Then Brock Bowers and Nash and Genty. Like the middle of the field with that team is going to be controlled. Like that should be fairly impressive the way that they run that offense if they do it the right way. and I believe they will. I'm the same. I give it to the Raiders because of the veteran. You know, everybody loves Mike Vrabel. Like he, coach of the year, AFC Championship game. I'm not as high on Mike Vrabel as some people. Like he's just barely above 500. His last 2 seasons in Tennessee were tough. So I give the coaching to slight to Pete Carroll on that. I give quarterback is tough, but it's Geno Smith over Drake May if I were to. So when just adding everything up, I see it that way. And Max Crosby's going to be a problem. He's always a problem. So that should just is what it is. So I give that to the Raiders as well. Week 2, they go to Miami.
I'm sorry. I'm taking a win on that one. Fuck Miami. Tua's gonna get a concussion.
Really?
Yeah, no, they're gonna end up. Miami's not gonna be as good as everybody thinks this year. I'm sorry. Miami's not gonna be good at all. I actually think the Patriots could come in second place in the division, and not even by winning a lot of games because of how bad I think Miami and the Jets are gonna be.
Okay, I agree with you on the last part. The reason I'm gonna fight you, not fight you, I'm gonna argue with you on the beginning of this is this. That game is September 14th. It's going to be 120 degrees on the field. The Patriots have always struggled to go into Miami. That's in Miami, September 14th. It's going to be hot as shit.
Listen,
I don't see the Pats doing it. And then second, and I'm going to I got to say this, and I don't know if you know this stat, and the stat is absolutely disgusting. Tua Tagovailoa has never lost to the Patriots. Ever.
I still say fuck Miami, we're winning.
Okay. All right. Well, give that. All right. So that's 1-1. The Steelers.
Who's quarterback?
They're at home in New England.
Who's playing quarterback?
I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers. And the only reason I say that is because I think he just hasn't made his decision because he doesn't want to go through the bullshit of OTAs. I think he just wants to be able to stay home, not sign with anybody, have it under the table that it's going to happen. But he just wants to avoid the bullshit of the summer. That's my feeling on it.
Okay, so
I think it's good. I think Tomlin and Rodgers have an agreement. That's my guess.
So you think Rodgers? If it's Rodgers, I'll give it to the Steelers just for the simple fact that it's Tomlin and Rodgers. If it ends up being Will Howard, the quarterback they drafted in the 6th round, or I think they got Rudolph. They picked up Rudolph again. I'm taking the Pats if it's one of them.
Okay, if it's one of them, that's a tough one. Yeah.
So you know what we could do for right now? We'll call it a fucking tie, buddy, because you don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an easy one right there. All right, let's go with that. So next they have the Panthers. And it's in New England. That's a tough one for me.
I like only Bryce Young. Bryce Young turned it on in the last 6 games. He looked good, and we were talking shit about him in the beginning of the season. Like, is this even going to be a starter? Because how bad he was playing throughout the season, you were like, wow. Because he had to literally sit there and realize, all right, well, what am I doing wrong that I need to fix? And he started fixing his problems, his mental problems. But I don't think their team, their even their defense is as good as our defense. So if you're putting our defense with Vrabel as the head coach, who is a smash mouth coach, I will take the Patriots against Carolina.
Okay. I'm gonna take. You know what? I'm gonna take the Pats too. I don't have that much faith in Bryce Young. It's funny because like this is kind of the same way I feel about CJ Stroud, and they did it like backwards. Where CJ Stroud, like his rookie season was Jaden Daniels before Jaden Daniels. Then his sophomore year, he had the sophomore slump. You spin it. Bryce Young was terrible in his rookie year, terrible at the beginning of his sophomore year, and then turned it on and looked really good. Which I root for the kid. He's tiny. He's fucking tiny. And to see him on a football field is hilarious, and that's why I root for him. I'm like, get it, little dude. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? I love seeing somebody at 5'10" and 165 pounds being able to play on an NFL field. So I root for the kid. Even Bam, like whatever. But yeah. So all right. So going by that, we have him at 2-1-1. So 4 games in, this is where you can't say it gets completely tough. However, it is. They have 3 straight games on the road. So Sunday, October 5th, they go to Buffalo. I have to guess we both feel the same way about that.
Buffalo's winning.
Yeah. All right. We can skate through that. Then they're in New Orleans.
With that crapshoot did you see that quote? Derek Carr retired. Now you're gonna start that second. They picked a 26-year-old quarterback in the second fucking round over Shedeur Sanders. I don't care what you say about his personality. Shedeur was a way better quarter. I watched his his combine, and the stuff that he was doing in the combine was like, what made you think that you're gonna pick this kid in the second round?
I agree completely. I don't think he'll be starting. I think it'll be Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, still.
And the Patriots struggle in New Orleans historically. I have to give this to the Pats. I'm going to give it to the Pats.
You have to, because their team is not that good. New Orleans' team is not that good, and they're aging, and they're not getting the right value for young players. I'm telling you, it's New England for that game.
I'm with you. I'm actually with you, and to see them at 3-2-1 after winning 4 games, 8 games in the last 2 seasons, I'm having a difficult time believing in this explosion that they're gonna have. But anyway, October 19th, their last road game. They're gonna come home after. They got Tennessee. They're in Tennessee,
and that's what Cam Wood starting. Pollard at running back. They lost a couple players on defense.
To New England.
Lost a couple coaches. They lost a couple coaches. They lost a front office guy.
Yep.
Damn, do I really go New England for a third game? And that's really crazy to think about. It's because the schedule is so soft.
Yep. And the Patriots are a soft team. Like every other fan base is doing the same thing we're doing right now. They're doing a podcast, and they're getting to whatever team it is. They're getting to New England on the schedule, and they're saying that's an automatic win. They're doing the same thing we're doing, which is crazy.
So, but think about it. You're calling them soft. They were soft last year, but the difference between Mayo and Vrabel is not fucking soft, bud. And he ain't gonna accept.
Vrabel is not.
And he ain't gonna accept soft from any of his players. He'll bench him like Bill did. He don't give a fuck. So,
and I agree with that 100%. But my issue is simple: the roster is still the roster. You can have guys who want to play, and they're gonna show up early, and they're gonna fucking run through a wall. That doesn't mean they're good. Like they're a training camp all-stars. They're a scrimmage all-stars. We played with them. We all played with them. There are guys who can do that, and they're gung-ho, and they're ready to go no matter what. It doesn't mean they're going to be good. This roster is still pretty much the same. And I understand like the Milton Williams of the world and the most like we went over like everything they added. But and that's not shitting on this team. That's simply saying that they were so bad last year. It's difficult like what the Commanders did last year is so odd. It's so not normal. And to under could the Patriots do it? Yes. The schedule is a joke. We have them at 4-2-1 through 7 weeks. The schedule is an absolute joke. So yes, it is possible. But they're going to lose some games that we think they're going to win, and they're going to win a game or two that we thought they weren't going to be able to win. Like they could split with Buffalo, and we'd be like, "Holy shit! Like how did they beat Buffalo at home?"
It was like the Cincinnati. It was like the Cincinnati game. It was like the first game last year with Cincinnati.
Exactly, and they almost did it to Seattle too. They almost beat Seattle. Like there were a few games where you're like, "All right, like where was this? Where is this coming from? And how do we fucking bottle it up?" Like that's gonna happen. But it's so difficult for me. Like 7-10 makes sense to me, and 7-10, and I know we're at 4-2-1. We're only through 7 weeks. We're at 4-2-1. But like 7-10 makes sense to me because that's a 3-game jump, and that's to me almost a 4-game jump because they should have been 3-14. Sean McDermott lost better than OJ Mayo. Good God, Gerard Mayo won. Like Sean McDermott outcoached him by losing on purpose. It was embarrassing.
And you win that game when you know you shouldn't have. Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about that because we could have got up to
well, right. Okay. But like you were a 3-win team last year, if we're being honest. So it's so tough for me to say a 3-win team is going to be able to go 11-6. But again, we're going over the schedule, and right now we have them at 4-2-1. If they're 4-2-1 after 7 games, after 2 seasons of 4-13, we're losing our minds as fans. We're ecstatic. And it's looking possible.
Yeah, already there.
Which I hate.
So,
all right, so where were we?
We were at Tennessee.
Yeah. All right, so they come home, and here's another game. Like, I'm not giving the Pats a win on this game. This is in New England. I'm not giving them a win. It's Cleveland.
Joe Flacco playing quarterback.
Yeah.
You got a good. You're gonna get a good 6 games out of him. So, unless Shador wins the starting job, which you've heard he's already playing better than Gabriel, and he's staying later than all the quarterbacks. He's actually trying to prove, like, all right, now I drop. Now I have to prove to y'all that I'm fucking good. So
now he's pissed.
And their defense is legit. They got Garrett. They got the kid from Michigan. I'll take Cleveland. Just I'll take Cleveland right now. I'll take it. Okay, I'll take Cleveland.
And that's not a bad loss. I love Stefanski. I think Stefanski is a great coach who has just been handed bullshit. Like being handled that Deshaun Watson situation is brutal. Having to play with like whatever like they've had a quarterback because of the Watson contract and all the other bullshit. I think offensively he's a genius. And defensively, I think that team is just really strong. I think he's worked kind of both. I don't know. I'm a fan of his. And being in Cleveland is just like Marvin Lewis being in Cincinnati, except for they won once in a while. Yeah. So all right. So we have 4-3-1. Then Atlanta comes to town.
I'm taking New England.
Really?
I am. I have no faith in Atlanta. I have no faith in Atlanta. Cousins bench, you're gonna start Penix. You're gonna again. There's a lot going on. They have great players on that team and great things. But now you're talking about a team that's already in stride, and you're playing at home. And Atlanta don't play good in the cold. So it's already going to start getting chilly by that point. So I'm taking New England.
Okay. I'm a no. I am. I love the Atlanta offense. I love. I mean, I'm a Penix fan. I'm happy I said that right. Um, Bijan Robinson is an absolute stud. He might be the best running back in football. Like I would listen to an argument for that. I would pay attention to it. I would. Um, Situation and what he does in that situation, I think, has to be added into that conversation.
Okay.
I like Drake London. I'm a big Drake London fan. Kyle Pitts, I still have. I think the quarterback situation has been so bad there that it's added to it. I think he's
So
been used
I wish
horribly.
I wish he could just. I have a feeling like you are on the same thing. You just wish for him to have success because he has
Yep.
all the talent in the world to have success.
Yep. Absolutely. Um, and he was kind of somebody like there were a few rumors going around that he could have been on the trade block, and I'm like, that's like a more athletic, uh, fuck it, a more athletic Aaron Hernandez in a sense, where he can be
I was
used in
gonna say
different situations.
I was gonna say a more athletic Travis Kelsey.
I like that. I think Travis Kelsey is more. He's got to be stuck to tight end, whereas like an Aaron Hernandez or a Kyle Pitts, I can see you using him in the backfield. He can be an H back. He can do different things.
But okay, flexing
Um,
him out. I get what you're saying now. Kind of like what you
I
think.
think
What
he's
I
that
think.
type of athlete.
Like I think what Tyler Warren's gonna be this year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think he has I think Kyle Pitts, he's just been used terribly, in my opinion. Um, but then I throw in like I love this is gonna sound funny because it's not that great, but it is great. Jalen Walker and then drafting James Pierce Jr. Atlanta has been so how many edges have they drafted or in turn had to trade for Matthew Judon to try to get somebody to create pressure off the edge, and they've never been able to do it. And then in the first round, they draft Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., taking two shots to say, "Fuck it, we have to do it. Let's see what happens." Jalen, like, I,
Jalen
does it
Walker
sound
dropped.
like
Jalen Walker
I
dropped.
know, I know? And is it Georgia bias for me to say that I'm a huge Jalen Walker fan?
He's a stud.
He's an absolute stud, and he's a tweener. Like he's the edge line, like where he's gonna play. His size is kind of a question mark, but his football IQ and his football just, and he's another dog. He's another absolute dog, and that not just a bulldog reference. He's a dog. Like he's gonna do whatever it takes. They say he's first guy in, last guy out, nicest guy in the world, completely dedicated to football. There's nothing else in this dude's life. And maybe they finally found their guy. Maybe they finally found the guy that can come off the edge and actually cause some sort of disruption.
Listen, I thought that kid was gonna get if the Jaguars didn't end up trading up in that draft for Travis Hunter. I thought he was going to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I thought that's where he
Yep.
was going. So when they traded him out and then he dropped, I thought, oh man, well that's why this kid dropped is because the team that was going to get him. I think he's good. I think that something's going to work out of one of those players for him. I just got to take New England just because I don't know the coaching situation, just the list goes on. Atlanta's always had problems, and then they finally break out and they get waxed in that Super Bowl after they were up 28-3, and they just never been the same again. And I have to throw that out there every time because now you have to worry about, oh well, we're going back to New England. Here comes the chance. Here comes, we sucked and lost Super Bowl and morale drops, and you know how New England fans are. So
Oh, yes, I do. Now, all right,
yeah.
fuck it. We have time. Your feelings on Matt Ryan and his career. I got
I
him
like
now.
that. I like Matty Ice. I did. I did. I didn't think, obviously we were going to be losing 28-3 in that Super Bowl, and then we came back to win it the way we did. But he's had some great seasons. He played at Boston College. He got a hometown kid. He wasn't a hometown kid for us, per se, but he played in Boston. So I didn't think that he had a horrible career. I think he had a very good career.
I loved Matty Ice, and it's because of Boston College. Before I became a Georgia fan, which is a story, I love my hometown teams. I've never turned my back on a hometown team. It's always been, and Boston College was the football team, and years ago UMass Amherst was the college basketball team. It was Marcus Camby and Lou Rowe and Carmelo Travieso and Edgar Padilla and Dana Dingle and Dante Bright, and I could go on and on about those teams, but I won't bore you with that. But huge Matt Ryan fan. I mean, he was an NFL MVP the year that 28-3 happened. All pro. I mean, you're looking at another guy that cut down on problems, like 381 touchdowns career, 183 on picks. Maybe not the guy who's going to win you a title, but a guy you could win a title with.
I like that. And I like that. You could have won a title with it. Could have won one, but not one you're thinking is going to win you one.
Yes, 100%. He's not Mahomes where he could carry you to it, but you could sure as shit win one with him as your quarterback. I mean, if Baltimore could win one with Trent Dilfer, Matt Ryan would have been 70 times better than Trent Dilfer for that team. Even though he would have been handing it off anyway, but it is what it is.
LA won one with Stafford.
Right. Exactly. Maybe one of those guys who played a little bit too safe, and maybe that's why his turnovers were down and it looked clean and good. 66%, completion percentage career. Didn't take as many chances to make the stats look better, but I'm Matty Ice fan. All right. I'll get off that. All right. So I'm putting this as a loss. I have a feeling you might agree, but they go to Tampa. November 9th.
Tampa. I'm saying Tampa.
Okay, I figured as much.
I'm sorry. I really liked Baker Mayfield is a dog. I'm going to say that to the fullest. That kid just wants to play football. And Mike Evans and him, and they had a good draft. You got Bucky Irvin. You got Rashard White. Godwin's going to be coming back. They drafted another receiver. And so they got some talent there, man. I think Tampa wins that.
Yep, I agree. Baker Mayfield to me is who I think Johnny Manziel wanted to be.
I wish.
I think that's like always my my comparison. Yeah, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka is who they drafted. Yeah, I think they're a better team. I mean,
you got Chase. You got Chase. Chase Otton at tight end. So it's a Bucky.
Yeah. All right, now was a fun one. The Jets come to town Thursday night after the Tampa game. Short week. Justin Fields, I'm assuming, is still going to be the quarterback there. Did Garrett Wilson and Bryce Hall, do they Sauce Gardner, did they scare you enough? I mean, I don't. That's a tough one. Armand Membu.
We're going to say it just like I did with my last in the division this year. It's going to happen. The Jets are going to be at the bottom of the barrel.
If I'm being completely honest, I think there's an opportunity. I mean, I love Mason Taylor. That was a great pick. Which could help Garrett Wilson a shit ton. I think the Pats win that game, and I think it's Vrabel. I think Vrabel wins that game. I think Aaron Glenn, I think that's part of it. I really do.
I take New England,
Yep.
bud.
It's the Jets. There's a realistic possibility where they go 2-15.
And there's a realistic possibility that we sweep them during the season because we do it to the Jets all the fucking time.
Yeah, it's the Jets. They're a
We
fucking joke.
beat the Jets last year, didn't we?
Yeah,
exactly. So, yeah, no, fuck the Jets. New England wins that game. So, what's our record as of right now after the Jets game?
So right now we're sitting at 6-4-1, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. If I'm
no,
okay, all right, we're. There are a few tough games left. All right, that this is kind of working out. All right, so next game, this is a loss for me. 100%. They're at Cincy.
well,
And
I was gonna say beginning of season because they always
thank you.
Burrow and stride. Fuck you guys,
Yep.
Joe Burrow. I'm taking Cincy, and I love New England, but Joe Burrow in stride is I'm serious. In stride, best quarterback in the NFL. When he's already hot. Once he gets hot, there's no turning it off.
Look, I don't know if you've ever listened to Taylor Kyles. He's a local sports reporter guy. He has them going 13-4. And in his last podcast, he talked about how. So they did the schedule. I don't know who he was on the radio with or the podcast with, but they did the schedule and they went team by team and they went quarterback against quarterback. Who are you taking? Who, game by game, who has the advantage quarterback wise? And they got to Buffalo and they were like, no, absolutely not. Like, there's not a chance in hell that Drake May is going to have the advantage over Josh Allen. And I'm like, all right, like they're using their heads, like, cool. Then they got to Cincinnati, and Taylor Kyle says, Drake May could be kind of in the swing of things. And if that's the case, like I could see a world where the advantage goes to Drake May over Joe Burrow.
I will never say that Drake May is going to have an advantage over Joe Burrow until he's 5 years in and prove something. Joe Burrow has brought his team to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow weeks of the season last year and had to tiptoe and drag his team. Then they re-signed Higgins. No trade.
Yeah.
They got
he
Jamar
told them
Chase.
to. Let's be real.
Yep. Yeah. And they have Jamar Chase. I am not saying mid-stride Joe Burrow is losing during. No, it's not happening. You can't beat. What was it called? Someone was saying that Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in the NFL once he hit stride. Once he hit stride, he's better than Mahomes. He's better than Allen. He's better than Lamar Jackson.
Joe Burrow last year, I just pulled up the stats to make sure because I knew his season was stupid. So Joe Burrow led the league in attempts last year. Also led the league in completions. He completed 70% of his passes. So if we're rounding up, it's 70.6, so we'll give it 71%. He led the league in yards with 4,918. He had 43 touchdowns and only 9 picks. 290 yards per game. Like, I don't. If you told me you thought Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in the NFL right now, I'd say that's fair. That would be my response. I wouldn't have a rebuttal.
I wouldn't either.
Like, so to say that Josh Allen isn't comparable to Drake May, however, Drake May is comparable to Joe fucking Burrow,
you're an idiot.
Is insane to me.
I'm not saying you're an idiot. That dude's an idiot.
No, he is an idiot. 100%. I clearly agree with you on that one. All right, so here's a team that comes into town. Another team the Pats have always had an issue with. But this one's kind of fun. The Giants.
They had a great draft. But I don't think that Jackson Dart is better than Drake May.
No, I
Because
will not.
people are trying to compare Jackson Dart to Josh Allen. And I'm sorry, but May is more like Allen and early Allen in my eyes than Dart is. May has a better arm than Dart. May has
Yep.
better mobility than Dart.
Yep.
Only thing that Dart might have better is decision making to a point. To a
Yep.
point. So
Yeah, we don't know. He's a rookie. Like, we have no idea.
Yep. So
The game's faster.
Gonzo. So you can hate on him all you want, but he still played fucking good last year. So
No, I can't. And that's what I made that face for, because I am a man who will, without question, admit when I'm wrong. But it doesn't mean I like doing it. It doesn't mean I like doing it. And you know what? Fuck that. I'm not going to admit that I'm wrong. What I'm going to do is this. Everybody after year one said Christian Gonzalez is slated to be a Hall of Famer. And I said, the guy played 4.5 games. Slow down. I never said he was bad. I said it was too early to judge. So I wasn't wrong. All right, so I don't have to admit I was wrong, which is cool.
Okay.
So, no, he's this fucking stud. He's a top 5 corner in the NFL right now.
Oh,
I will
facts.
Happily admit that. He's the best player on the New England Patriots.
So if he shuts down Neighbor,
better than him.
But so if you think about it, if he shuts down Neighbors, Malik Neighbors,
Yep.
what do you got going on? You're gonna have Scatterbull running over our defensive line. I'm sorry, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, Keon White, Josh Farr. The list goes on in that defensive line that you're gonna sit there and go, and you got you got Bentley back as your Mike. So you're telling me he's gonna run over those big motherfuckers on that line? No, I'm sorry. I'm taking New England against the G-men.
Okay. I don't. I mean, what am I going to argue? Abdul Qadir? No, I know the defensive line. The Giants have always been known for the defensive line. They've always been known to get after the quarterback. They've always been known that's what it's been all. If anybody knows the fucking Patriots, no. They know Stranahan and OC and et cetera, et cetera. Pierre Paul, like whatever.
You mentioned Carter, though. I'm very upset with Carter because he really tried to ask Lawrence to fucking number. And
I know.
I love Abdul Qadir, but sorry, buddy, do something in the NFL before you ask probably the greatest, the guy that changed the game for defensive players, smoking crack at the same time. Like, dude, get the hell out of here. Don't ask for anybody's numbers. Don't ask for them. Pick a number and deal with it.
I'm gonna say something and you're gonna hate. I don't know. Let's see how you feel about it. Fuck it. We'll take a break. There are 4 players that I will accept an argument for greatest player of all time. And I know most people around here will say it's Tom Brady. Shut the fuck up. Don't talk to me. But I will accept an argument when it comes to Tom Brady. And I think Tom Brady's the greatest player of all time. Like, let's not get that twisted or fucked up. But I will not accept, but listen to an argument about Jerry Rice, different position, longevity. His records are equal to Tom Brady's records, where they're so fucking stupid they'll never get touched.
No,
like Jerry Rice's are at that point. Jerry Rice's are Wayne Gretzky level, and not goals. I know Ovechkin just passed him. I'm talking points, assists. Like, if Wayne Gretzky never had a goal, if he never scored a goal in the NHL, he would still
be the points leader.
Hold the record for most points just through assists. Like, that's what Jerry Rice is receiving. Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor. Those are the 4 people that I will accept. Listening to you tell me why you think they are the greatest of all time. I'll listen to it.
I won't say. See, I think of greatest all time. I think of Brady automatically just because he is the
Oh yeah.
greatest football player. I think Lawrence Taylor changed the game for his
Oh,
position. He changed the
100%.
game. He changed the game. Bill Belichick talks so highly of him, and I hear it all the time. He's like, in the Edelman podcast, they talk about like I coached Lawrence fucking Taylor. Like, do you think you could show me anything that's gonna be better than Lawrence fucking Taylor? You idolized him. Idolized
Yep.
him.
Yep.
Lawrence Taylor changed football for how he played. Nobody could stop that man. Jerry
No.
Rice wasn't the fastest player. Jerry Rice couldn't jump the highest, but Jerry Rice knew how to play fucking football.
Yeah.
I can tell that Reggie White. I could say he was just a force to be reckoned with. You know,
Dumb.
there's there,
Dumb.
but the greatest of all time is obviously going to go to Brady. I mean, the 7 Super Bowls speak for itself. The third, what was it, 13 Super Bowls in several, or what, 10 or whatever it was, 10 Super Bowls all together in a 20-year span. That's crazy.
Yeah. Two Giants, Philly. Yeah. No, I agree. It gets to the point where like you question, people have a different opinion of what greatest of all time is. Is
Okay.
greatest of all time just who won the most Super Bowls? Is greatest of all time the people who did this or that? Is it statistics? Or is it like somebody could say to you, Bo Jackson is the greatest football player of all time? And you'd be like,
You,
you're fucking crazy. And if they said to you, no, because if we're talking the greatest of all time, I'm simply thinking to myself, who did it the most dominant? No matter the time frame, no matter how long they did it for, no matter what the statistics ended up being, it's the athlete who you knew was the greatest at what they were doing at that time, and nobody could have fucking touched them. And like, so if somebody said to you, okay, well, Derrick Rose is the greatest basketball player of all time, you'd be like, you're dumb. And if you watched him play, you could look at him and be like, he might have been the greatest athlete who ever played in the NBA. But
if he didn't get
unfortunately,
hurt, if he
injuries
had
cut him.
cut him short.
Right. Like there's arguments to be said. And I think I think it's Tom Brady. Like I'm a Jordan. It's not LeBron. I don't give a shit about your longevity, dude. You're a bum. Like, we won't get into that. Or we'll cut this off and do a basketball and a different one out, in a few minutes if you want. But like, when it comes to that, like I could listen to I'd love to listen to somebody say to me that Bo Jackson is the greatest football player of all time. And only because he doesn't have the stats. He doesn't have the longevity. He didn't have any of that bullshit. However, when he was on the field, he was the most dominant person who ever stepped on a football field. So how can you not say he's the greatest of all time if he was the most dominant person of all time? Or
But that,
Shaq.
but that's like saying Barry Sanders. Barry, no one could touch Barry, and he retired at 30. What could he have done further on? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There was guys
You
like
would
that. There's
listen to
guys
that because maybe he was.
I consider. That's why I like that. You got to listen to that dude on Dupo because when they talk about it, that's what it was. It was a freak. It's dog stud freak. This
Yeah.
dude coming out of college is a legitimate stud. He played in the NFL. He was a legitimate stud. But then you got guys that were freaks. Shannon Sharp being one of them. Shannon Sharp
Oh
was a
yeah.
receiver turned tight end and was
Yep.
just a freak athlete.
And guess
Uh,
what? He didn't have shit on his brother.
and he said
Sterling
that
was stupid.
he said that in his Hall of Fame speech.
Stupid.
He said that in his Hall of Fame speech. He goes, he
Yep.
was like, I came from a family with two NFL players, and I was the second best player in in my household, or something to that lines. He knew that his brother was better than him. He knew it, but it was
Yep.
the positional value is why Shannon Sharp in the Super Bowls and all that, and he got the nod before his brother. Either way, there
Yep.
was freaks, studs, and dogs, and I like how they did that. There's guys that you got to call dogs. There's guys that you got to call freaks, and there's guys you got to call studs. Like Brady, nobody knew Brady was going to be the GOAT. Nobody knew it. So what they call him a dog because he fucking sat there and did the work to be a dog.
Yep.
And then Randy Moss. No question about it. He is a the analogy,
I love Randy.
the way that they, huh?
I love Randy.
Oh, everybody loves Randy. We can't love Randy. You hear the stories about him. It's funny. Nuts. Don't ever talk to my mom while I'm on the phone with my mom.
I just saw a story today, actually, or whatever time it is. I don't know, but I just saw a story that Julian Edelman just came out and said that apparently, like Edelman is a rookie, he's not making a shit. I mean, drafted,
And he
whatever.
paid him the money. Yeah, that's on the Dude
He
Do
was giving him
podcast.
money.
He
Yeah,
was
he was
giving him
giving him
money
money to pay for the receivers' lunch, meals and stuff like that, so he didn't have to deal with it. I'm like,
because he
what a fucking
wasn't getting paid as much as everybody else.
yeah,
So yeah, no, that they. I'm telling you, you'll love that. I didn't think I was gonna like that podcast as much as I did. But when
yeah,
I started listening to it, I thought it was just going to be a one-on, one-off thing, and they turned it into something, and it's actually pretty legit to listen to because they literally only talk about. They're going to talk a little bit of hockey, a little bit of baseball, stuff like that, but they predominantly talk about sports, and they talk a lot of New England football, but they talk about football in general on top of it. So
yeah.
it opens up a lot of stuff, and the stories that they got and the people they bring on, like they brought Brady on for an episode. They talk about Belichick, 5-star recruit, and he was
Yeah.
sitting there and he goes, "Yo, so you pretend to be the stud. That's a 5-star. You coming into this interview?" He sits down and he goes, "So Alabama offered me $2 million NIL. What are you gonna offer me to play here?" I'm gonna. All right, listen. 1.8 is the highest you're getting, but if you're already thinking about money before playing, you might as well just go to Alabama. Like the Belichick voice thing. It was funny, but no, you are definitely right on what you're saying. Everybody can be something different than what they think. So
Yep.
I don't disagree with what you're saying on that end. On that end, I believe you are right. I believe that that's how it is. So where were we?
Well, before we get that, I got to throw this out there. I just looked up the stats because I had to throw it out there. So I looked up Sterling Sharp. 7 seasons, never missed a game. 16 games, 16 games started, all 7 seasons. Do you know what his 17 game average breaks out to?
What?
So you're looking at 90 catches, 1,235 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Would have been his 17 game average.
Damn.
Yeah, his last 3 years before he got hurt and was out. 1992, 108 catches, 1,461 yards, 13 touchdowns. 1993, 112 catches, 1,274 yards, 11 touchdowns. His last season in the NFL in 1994, 94 catches, 1,119 yards, 18 touchdowns.
Damn.
One of the greatest receivers of all time, if not
And
cut
only
off
got,
by injury.
and only got to play 7 seasons.
7 seasons, but never missed a game in those 7 seasons and fucking dominated. Absolutely dominated.
Okay. All right.
Just crazy. Just crazy. And that's a guy who he's a Hall of Famer. He finally got in. And that's somebody like kids will never understand who he was. They'll never know because they know Moss, they know T.O., obviously they know Rice. They'll hear mention of Steve Largent because Seattle people, white people won't shut the fuck up about Steve Largent. Like you'll hear all that bullshit. And then it'll be Justin Jefferson, and then it'll be Jamar Chase. Like we'll hear those guys too. But the fact of the matter is, like, Sterling Sharp is so underrated. And I know it's so crazy to say for a guy who made it to the Hall of Fame, but people don't understand who Sterling Sharp was. All right, I'll get off my soapbox.
You're not wrong because I didn't know his stats were like that.
Dumb. Just dumb. He was a stud.
Because I started watching football when I was young, and I remember Sterling Sharp in my Sega games. that
Yep.
I could play with. And
Yep.
he was part of those Packer teams that were good. You had Brett Favre on the team and all that. So, wow, that's crazy. Now I know why Shannon said that because I never even looked at it like that.
Oh, he was, like I said, he's one of the greatest. I don't. It's unfortunate things went down the way they went down, and that he's never gonna get. Again, he's a Hall of Fame. He got into the Hall of Fame, so it's so insane to say that he's not going to get the credit that he deserves. But you have guys like Kurt Warner, you have guys like Terrell Davis, you have guys like that who got in for playing a short period of time, and
And
they get
dominating.
all of the fucking attention.
Yeah, and dominating. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sterling Sharp will never get the attention that a Terrell Davis gets because of the stupid fucking titles. Well, Kurt
And he
Warner
had a
gets
great, and you know what? Terrell Davis also had a fantastic offensive line.
oh my God. And again, they cheated. Denver cheated. And that's another thing. Sterling Sharp is lost in the history of football, and the Denver cheating is lost in the history of football. Denver cheated the salary cap in order to keep John Elway and Terrell Davis and get those two Super Bowls. They cheated. They were fine. They lost I think it was $1.9 million, and they lost 2 third-round picks for cheating in order to get those 2 Super Bowls. And people don't talk about that shit, which drives me absolutely insane. John Elway is super overrated. He should be in the Dan Marino arena with no titles. But Denver cheated. They got fined later on, and the NFL did nothing about it other than the fines. They won 2 Super Bowls while cheating. Paying people, they did deferments on payments because they were trying to build a stadium. They couldn't afford to pay the guys. So they were able to keep guys that they in normal situations wouldn't be able to pay. They kept him on the team, and they got to win 2 Super Bowls on bullshit salary cap. It drives me absolutely insane. I apologize. Because we're Patriots fans. All we hear about is Tom Brady cheated, Bill Belichick cheated. John Elway got 2 titles by cheating. He and TD made agreements with the team to defer payments in order to be able to keep the team together and win titles. That's the only reason they won.
That's legitimate, though. So it's a legitimate. Of course not. They're not gonna. They're always gonna say because no one had the. But no one also had a dynasty like the Patriots did with 6 Super Bowls in 20 years.
No, but look at Al Davis. If you want to ever search that Denver situation, search it, and it specifically tells you Al Davis was fighting the NFL to get those titles vacated. Al Davis was bullshit. He rode that, not until he died, but he rode it for a few years, trying to he thought he was bullshit at the fact that Denver had the ability to do that and nobody else did, and they won titles on it. He fought it.
Did you see the movie they're making with Nicolas Cage and Christian Bale?
No.
And Christian Bale, it's the rise of Madden, of how he started the video games, how he got into commentating his first Super Bowl with the Raiders, and it's a movie. And Nick Cage gained a little bit of weight, put on some type of suit, and looks like John Madden. And let me tell you, Christian Bale looks like fucking Al Davis.
That's crazy.
Special on Madden's Biblic or whatever it is.
That's crazy.
So now it makes me wonder if you're going to see something like that in it when he's bitching about stuff, Al Davis bitching about things, and you never know. So. I'm just saying you mentioned it, but it's very possible, buddy. It's very possible.
I hope so. It needs attention.
You need to make attention to stuff. We should start a segment. Let's see what your team has done and tell us that you guys didn't cheat too. Come on now.
Yep. Keep it down. Glass houses. All right, let's move on. All right, so we have them. 7-5-1.
And we just said Cincinnati. Right. We just said Cincinnati was going to win.
Yep. Then we have the Giants. We have the Pats to win with the Giants. So we're on to Buffalo coming into town. December 14th. week 15. This is after a bye. Pats have the bye week 14. Buffalo comes into town. I'm going to let you go first on this one. I feel like I've gone first on all of these.
I still say Buffalo wins.
Same. All right, perfect. We can continue with what we have going on here. Which 7-6-1, considering is still again like solid.
That's a big step. Big step.
Yep, 100%. All right, perfect. So this is where they go to Baltimore.
Baltimore wins.
Yeah, no question.
Not even questioning it. Baltimore wins.
Then
you might even see
Jets.
We're beating the Jets.
What do you want to say?
Well, I was going to say you might even see a better Lamar Jackson than you saw last year, which is crazy to even think about, just because he got snubbed in the MVP. So, and I'm not, and I could have went either way in that MVP. We all talked about that. We said our piece on it, but you might see a better Lamar Jackson this year. So I think that's going to be a smoke show. And then you said the next game was what? The Jets.
They go to the Jets.
They're beating the Jets again. They're washing the Jets this year. It's 2 games.
Okay. And
they're
that's
watching the Jets.
Very interesting. Because I'm going to go first on the next one. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because it's the complete reverse. Miami comes to town. They can't play in the cold. Tua, I don't think he's lost. I don't think Tua's won a game when the temperature's been under 40. And I think this is finally where they beat Miami, where they beat Tua and Mike McDaniels.
Because I said that they won the first game too in the season, right?
And I said lose, so I think that's the one we gave him a tie, right?
No, we gave the Pittsburgh one a tie because we gave the Pittsburgh one a tie.
You're right.
I think we gave them a win in Miami. And that's because I was talking shit saying that Miami and the Jets are going to be the 2 worst teams in our division.
You gave Miami, I didn't though, because I think of the Heat. I think that I think it's going to be ugly. That's so early to have to go into Miami. Like I've gone down there in December to watch a Pats game, and I was sweating balls.
So you know what we do? So if we gave them a win for that, it's neither here nor there because we could say they win here and they could have lost in the other one. So they split it. They split it.
Yeah.
They split.
Yeah, fine. So that, I mean, roughly we're in the 9-win range. 8, 9, 10 is where we're at. This is 9-7-1 going with the tie and the bullshit.
And I said between 7 and 9 wins with a possibility of 10 if you sweep Miami.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that like I said, they're a 3-win team from last year. What do you think? Okay, here's a question for you. What do you think they win if Mike Vrabel was the coach last year over Gerard Mayo? And the team is the same.
The same team?
Same roster. Nothing changes. Everything is exactly the same except for the fact that it's Vrabel.
I can't say anything because I don't think Vrabel would have went into that last year with that draft. I don't think he had that mentality, and I don't think he had the same mentality as Mayo and Wolf because Mayo was new, Wolf was new, and you had Van Pelt. They knew they were getting May, but there were other players that I think like Lad McConkey. I think we could have drafted. We would have drafted him over Jalen Polk. There was other players.
I agree with you to a point. The only I'm gonna say why I don't agree with you, and then I'm gonna, I guess, try to change the rules. I guess that's what I'm gonna try to do. So the reason I'm gonna disagree is because from what Elliot Wolf said in one of the meetings, I think it was immediately after the draft on the interview, he stated that last year was different because basically they didn't have the time to get their shit together. Like he had his scouting, like Elliot Wolf does his scouting. He does his bullshit, the video, like whatever he's doing. He does it during the season. He has it set up, ready to go. by the time Mayo came in and appointed everybody, they were so far behind because it was basically like Wolf had his shit, but nobody else had their shit. And it was just a mess. So I'm trying to run on the same belief, say that same thing happened, and Vrabel just came into a shit show, wasn't going to have the opportunity to bring in Stretch and all of his dudes, and it was the same thing, just a mess coming in. And what I'm trying to do is, while I agree with you, I think the draft would have gone differently. I think Vrabel would have put his foot down. I think Elliot Wolf is a nerd. I think Vrabel would have bullied him. And I think Vrabel would have got his people. But with that being said, all I'm trying to do is compare Gerard Mayo, the coach, with said roster versus Mike Vrabel, the coach, with said roster. So forget what you think Vrabel would have done to change the roster. Let's say you give Gerard Mayo one roster, you give Mike Vrabel the exact same roster. How many more wins is Vrabel worth than Gerard Mayo if they were forced to use the same roster in coaching?
Three.
So do you think he would have won 6 games last year or 7? Because that Buffalo game was stupid. Sean McDermott might have tried to win that game if it wasn't going to give the Patriots the first pick. Right. So, I mean, are we looking at the Patriots as a 3-win team last year because of that? And McDermott would have probably coached differently and just got the win because why not? He was trying to fuck the Patriots.
I'm a guy that believes in coaching is a big factor.
Same.
It's not all players.
Yep,
So
same.
coach them would have been different, and he also wouldn't have had all that locker room bullshit that happened last season. That shit would have been nipped in the butt real quick. That would have been nipped in the butt real quick. And you could hear everybody say, "Oh, but they loved Mayo." That locker room was dysfunctional last year, and there's proof of it.
Oh my God! Yeah.
There's proof about people bitching about not getting the ball through. Where do you have any room to bitch about getting a top 5 receiver in the NFL? You're playing with a rookie quarterback with a bad offensive line. He would have just said, shut the fuck up and play football. And that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
Mayo was too nice of a coach because he's never been a head coach. I think they would have won 7 games last year.
He was never a coach. He was never an assigned defensive coordinator.
No. He was an assistant. He was an assistant to the head coach before he became head coach. And then he was an assistant to the defensive coordinator, which was the coach's son.
The coach's son, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And we all know that Bill actually called, and we all know that Bill was the one calling the fucking plays. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
100%.
So I think he could have won 7 games last year. Well, you know what? I won't say 7 because you're right. I'll say they would have won 6 last year.
With that roster, I think that's fair. And of course, like we also have to take into account coaching. AVP is not Mike Vrabel's offensive coordinator. So, like in that situation, like if this hypothetical, we're trying to place him in the same exact situation that Gerard Mayo was in with AVP and Covington, like just a shit show. It was an absolute shit show last year. I mean,
I think that was the good thing about getting Vrabel in, though, because when you say that, he was the 13th coordinator they got to come in for the interview, and he was the one that they got.
Yeah.
Vrabel got hired. Vrabel's going to come back and call Josh. My cousin Sean said the same thing. Vrabel's going to come back. They're going to fire Mayo, and they're going to call Josh. And I only say they're going to call Josh because they were together at points, and he knows that as a head coach, my OC is going to listen to me, but I don't have to worry about my offense with him there. He coached Brady. He might have not been a good head coach, and I don't care. He was
terrible.
In Buffalo, didn't have any in Vegas, or it was Vegas, right? Not Oakland, but it was whatever it was. He didn't have any good ones with the Raiders, but as an offensive coordinator, he's proven. He really is. And you could say Brady's the factor of it. It's okay. I understand because Brady solves so many fucking problems.
Yeah.
But he also had to coach just coached him; he learned with him. So
Yeah,
if you're just letting him focus on offense, I don't think he's a bad coach.
I don't know. And I think it's crazy to say that like he succeeded with Brady. He had half a season with Cam Newton. He had half a season with Mac Jones. Like,
Didn't he coach? Didn't he coach a season somewhere with St. Louis too?
yeah, and it was horrible. Like he took on that was Sam Bradford. He was the offensive coordinator there. He had Sam
And
Bradford who came off,
But Bradford got hurt though again.
but Bradford was the rookie of the year the season before and then fell off an absolute cliff
We got
with Josh McDaniels. I gotta look it up now. I looked at it not that long ago. Because I've used it against Josh McDaniels in the past. Because he was rookie of the year. And then, yeah, what was it? He played 10 games the following season. 53% completion percentage, 2,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He got hurt. But it was like from rookie of the year to that, it was bad. And that was McDaniel's first year as the offensive coordinator there.
and didn't Bradford hurt his shoulder that year too, not his knee?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, because he had Pat Shermer as his offensive coordinator the season prior. I don't. I mean, I hope he's good. Like I'm a Patriots fan. Clearly, I hope he's good. But it's not being pessimistic. However, it's I guess kind of being a realist. Like his success is all tied to Brady. It's Belichick. Belichick's success is all tied to Brady. He sucks outside of that. Like I'll give you your 11-5 Matt Castle year and missing the playoffs, and the stupid Mac Jones year where halfway through the season the NFL learned who he was and they beat the shit out of him. Like, and then the Cam Newton where they go 7-9 the year, I think it was. Whatever the case, like his success is tied to Brady. Yeah, success is tied to the greatest of all time. So I hope he's good, but
I
you
look at
don't
it,
know for sure.
and that's why I say you listen to. I listen to the podcast. People who have played with coaches, and these guys have said that if it wasn't basically Brady, because Brady was good with O'Brien too, and he was, but
And
you
Weiss,
had
and I mean
you still got
and
to call
Charlie
plays.
Weiss.
Yeah, but you still got to call plays though. Didn't matter if you have Brady could call his own plays and he was. I believe he was doing it with the box. I'm not even going to kid you. I think he was calling his own
Yeah.
plays. But Brady,
Oh yeah, we heard the story of him going to Byron Leftwich's house and he went to the wrong house.
yeah, there was things that you could do with Brady later in his career, even in the middle of his career, and look at it like, all right, well, man, Brady could have been calling audibles like Manning was doing and changing at the line of scrimmage because he was so good at dissecting defenses. But you needed a play caller. And in those years, the top ranked offenses almost every year. He was just
I
gifted
agree.
Brady. He was gifted Brady, but you still have to call plays. You can't do it. You got to do it as an offensive coordinator.
I don't even know how
Unless
to
you really
word this.
unless you think Brady was really the one calling the plays the whole time.
Oh, I think Brady was a puppet master. I think during the week, I think Brady was running shit. I think during the week, Brady. We all know, and I have a difficult time giving Belichick credit, but we all know that Belichick and Brady got together during the week watching tape. Belichick would point out what the defense is going to do to you. Brady would do his thing. Like that's been well documented. I think in the end, no, I don't think Brady was calling his plays at the line. I think McDaniels was calling in the plays, and I think I know that because there were so many shitty calls that it was McDaniels. 4th and 2 still hurt. Anyway, I don't. I have to see it. I have to see it with him. I have to see. Yes, he was calling. Like I said, he was calling plays, but
you have to say on those fourth downs, he's calling plays like you just said, the 4th and 2. But he's not making the decision to call that play. The head coach is telling him to go for that play.
Telling him to go, but he's trusting his offensive coordinator to call the right play.
Fair enough.
You know, that's where it kind of gets tough. And I mean, it's not like it was a bad play call. I mean, it was a great defensive play. Like it was played well. Like, do I think there's a chance he got to the line? It's so long ago. Who gives a shit? But like, I don't know. I just too many memories of saying, "What the fuck was that play call?" Too many memories of it that hurt me. And again, I don't even look at Josh McDaniels as a head coach. He was a joke as a head coach. He was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't judge him on that. It's not worth my time because he's not here as a head coach. He's here as an offensive coordinator. So correct. I judge him as an OC. So when it comes to judging him as an OC, he was highly successful with the greatest fucking quarterback of all time, which is like saying like Albert Einstein is a professor at a college and his TA happens to be a stud. Well, his TA is fucking a TA to Albert Einstein. Like clearly he's going to be good. Like he's being carried.
But so, you're also like, that's but you're talking about like apples to oranges at that point because Jordan had Phil Jackson.
And it's the Montana George Walsh. Like it's the West Coast offense. And then
West Coast offense,
the triangle offense.
That took over the 80s. You know, that it was that playbook, and I can say this faithfully, that playbook with McDaniels from 2011 till McDaniels left, or whenever McDaniels was there and left and came back, that playbook was in that system in Madden until the day he went to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then it was changed and tweaked a little bit because Mac Jones had played in it and they were trying to mimic it. And then, boom, that playbook is his playbook. That is not Tom Brady's playbook. Tom Brady can take that playbook. Tom Brady can take that playbook and study it to the fucking T, because that's what he did. He would tell you, he said to Shador, he's like, you're spending too much time worrying about that and not sitting in the fucking video room right now. You should already be watching your teams. You know who you're playing this year. You should be watching those film games every day. If your coach had changed, you are watching that new team's. You're watching the old film on that coach to see what he played. Like Cohen just left the Bucks and went to Jacksonville. So, are you going to watch Jacksonville's playbook from last year, or are you going to watch Tampa Bay's playbook from last year? You want to sit there and study. Brady had to study everything, and he will tell you that to your face. I spent more time clicking a fucking clicker than I did. He said it about when the Chiefs game. He knew. He went in there. He was like, he goes, I was clicking that clicker. I already knew what they were calling on defense before they called it. I knew, and that's why he won that Super Bowl. He's like, why do you think I won that Super Bowl? I was clicking all week long. I knew what they were doing. Oh, he's dropping down. There it is. Godwin right there. Boom. Perfect. I saw that before it even started happening. When he started taking those first two steps, I recognize it. Let's go. You have to learn the playbook.
Because who's KC's DC?
At that time?
It's still Spags, right?
Was it still Spags?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I thought he got him. I thought he got Spags after that loss of that Super Bowl. I might be wrong though. I might be wrong. Either way, you need to study the playbook. The playbook was Josh's. So
Yeah,
that
he was
playbook was
there.
with Josh. Brady made that playbook perfect. He built it around. That's what I'm saying. He's not looking at having Brady right now. He's looking at a guy that he can work in an offense and make plays for him that's going to make him succeed. That's why Josh McDaniels is good.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I put weight into the Doug Marrone part of it as well. Having Doug Marrone around, I think they kind of insulated the whole situation. I think they brought in a lot of good bodies. I mean, they have what, 3 offensive line coaches, I think it is, with Marrone being, the top guy. I think they've done a good job with that. Wide receiver coach, I'm not a huge fan. I really wanted a Welker. I wanted Welker to come in. That is what it is. I mean, you kind of pulling at straws here, trying to find something to shit on when it comes to the staff.
Didn't they take the kid from the Pat? Well, what
What's
was it?
that?
Pat Williams. Who's the defensive? We took the defensive line coach and made him our defensive coordinator. The from
Yeah,
Detroit.
he hasn't, and he hasn't even been there. He's got a medical issue going on right now, so he hasn't even been around. But
But he coached with him before
yeah,
with
yeah,
Vrabel and Tennessee.
yeah.
Defensive coordinator. I think it was his next step in his coaching career to make that step to try to see what he could do. I mean, didn't Mayo get hired by somebody as a D coordinator?
I don't think he's
Or,
doing anything.
or did he get interviewed for it? I think he got interviewed for somebody, or was it Dallas? Was it Dallas? Might have been Dallas that interviewed him for something. I don't think maybe he didn't get signed yet for something in
Yeah, I didn't hear
Dallas.
anything about that. Maybe I'll have to look into that. All right. Well, I say with the Pats talk, we cut it here. I don't know if you want to stick around. You want to talk a little Celtics, Sox, and I guess Celtics. That hurts. That's a deep cut right there. I say
Tatum getting hurt, man. That was painful to watch. And then what you saw them Brown do the last game, it was like, oh man, maybe they're gonna play for Tatum. And then
yeah,
playing in New York. I mean, there was some stupid. I was watching the beginning of it when I was trying to get my daughter ready for bed, and the calls that were getting called on some of those against the Celtics was like maybe they really wanted the Knicks to go. I have the feeling you were right. The NBA is scripted, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Celtics fan. I'm not saying that because I'm a Celtics fan and I'm like, oh my God, I hurt right now because they just lost. But we lost Tatum and we were playing hurt and Porzingis wasn't playing the way he should have been. I have no judgments. They lost. By the way, my jackass son, 14-year-old, said we all owe him $100 because he put that bet on the podcast, blowing me up while we're doing this. I'm like ignoring it. He's like, answer the phone, answer the phone. I'm gonna be wanting that money soon. It's gonna happen. Doesn't have to be now.
oh boy. All right.
He
Let's cut
did
this
call.
one.
He did call in the beginning though. He called Tatum getting
Yeah.
hurt. He
Yeah.
did call
Yep.
Tatum getting hurt too. I can't believe he fucking jinxed us. That rat bastard.
All right. Let's cut this one here. We'll cut this one here, and then we'll jump back on and we'll talk a few minutes on Sox, Celtics, Bruins, and then we'll get out of here.
Roger that.
All right, everyone. Appreciate you watching. Let's jump off this one, and we'll be back on with the other 3 teams in the area.
Mm.